Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome back to another podcast, episode 2 of QalamCast. And today I'm gonna go back to this one thing that I wanted to discuss, which is that I used to say this one phrase a lot, writer's journey. And I used to pinpoint this specific thing every time in a different podcast when I'm talking to different people, and it was just this one thing about me. And what I meant with writer's journey initially was that my journey towards becoming a writer or the world's greatest writer or whatever, right? That kind of stopped when I stopped writing. But then I realized I stopped writing poetry. That does not mean that I've stopped writing, because there are a lot of other things that I write as well. So I don't know why, but living with the whole idea that it was writer's journey and then the writer stopped, so it feels weird in that sense. But honestly, when I think about it now that I'm writing again, not poetry but other things, it just feels like okay, maybe it wasn't end to a writer's journey, perhaps it was an end to a poet's journey. But why did I stop poetry? Because from people who know me, they know I love poetry and I used to be so passionate about it that everything I do revolved around poetry. And my best friend knows that very well. And I'll have him in a podcast someday. Um, Here's the thing, there are two answers. The short answer is that driving force for my poetry was misery and I did not like it. So I had to stop at one point I had to stop. The long answer is also the same answer, but then I kind of feel like it has more to it in terms of every single poem that I ever wrote, it always revolved around me talking about finding peace. And you could be passionate about something, you could love something so much, but throughout the tests of time, there comes this specific moment in your life where you have to ask yourself, is it worth the pain or is it worth the cost? And sure enough, I used to love writing, and as soon as I used to finish a poem, I'd just go back to it, and I feel like the greatest alive. But the cost was again misery, right? That driving force was that. So I reread my poems after a long while, and I kind of figured that every other poem of mine, it kind of revolved around me screaming that I want to find peace. And funny enough, finding peace was within letting go of poetry. Like when I let go of that, when I let go of the ideas that were building up in me, I stopped thinking about those, and I just took a long breath and sat down there. It felt different. And I think that's like the whole context behind me stopping, or me just dropping poetry like that, because I never imagined a life without writing poetry. But well, here we are. And I think it also connects to this one thing, the curse of creativity. Now we all have heard that phrase, and it's not something new, but it really is that meaningful. And it reminds me of that one movie, Rockstar. Okay, it's a Hindi movie. If you haven't watched it, then I'm sorry for you, but like, it is hands down one of the best movies I've ever watched. And for me personally, okay, I'll make a podcast on movies again also, but as of now, what you need to know is that I'm very picky with movies. Okay, and it's not that I'm a good judge, okay, this is a good movie, this is a bad movie. It's just that I'm very picky with it, because if the first 20 to 30 seconds cannot catch my attention or catch the eye, then, or get me engaged, then I'm sorry, I might never watch it. For some reason, that's how I am, right? So this movie, Rockstar, I have watched it more than 3 times just because of how beautiful that whole writing of that character is, and the whole look to everything. I just don't know how to put it. Okay, you have to watch it to understand the thing, and maybe because I connect with it so much in on some level, right? Now there is a trend. Every best musician, every best artist, every greatest, any sort of artist, maybe writer, painter, rapper, I don't know, whatever art there is out there, they all have one thing in common. They are not okay mentally. Trust me. Whenever you look into these rappers, you look into these artists, you look into these musicians, and anyone, you find something about them that wasn't sane, that wasn't normal. And I think that's where it builds that's where it builds this alternative lifestyle of yours, and you express whatever you feel through that style, right? Now that is the curse of creativity. And I think it was similar with me in terms of, I was creative, I was writing, and I loved what I write. And it's not like, it mattered if anyone else liked it. It's just that I really liked it and I was enjoying every single part of it. But the curse was there wasn't any peace within. And it's funny because I was happy, I liked the process, I enjoyed everything, but it wasn't peaceful. And I think peace is what we all strive for after a certain point in time, after a certain while. I don't know, I think that's something we want, or that's something we need. It's not something we want. And I'm sorry if you're here, I'm sorry if you're hearing a dog barking, but you gotta deal with it. That's how we roll with it now. Anyway, so I stopped writing poetry. That surely does not mean that there is no other form of writing, right? Like, recently I've started writing speeches down because because of university, and I went on a few competitions and everything. So writing declamations, writing points for debates, writing speeches. And it's not just straight up you writing facts. It's like you playing with the whole thing, like especially declamation. It is something interesting, and it is so much more different. I did not expect a form of writing that complex. Now here's the thing. Declamation is similar to a sermon, you could say that. And in Urdu, if I were to say it, it's a khutbah kind of thing, or a khitab, right? But not necessarily in an Islamic manner, right? So declamation is 10 times more powerful than a normal speech, because what you're doing is you have to play with the energy of the room, and you have to create this certain atmosphere. And all you have is a mic and a speech that you wrote down. You have a few verses from this poem, or you have a few citations, and you have a few events in your mind, and you put it all out there. But you have to play with the energy of the room. So you have to make people laugh at a certain moment, and right after that you might have to put them on their all-time low. And it revolves around many different things and many different events, but your whole point of touching different topics and touching different emotions is to make a certain point, and you want to reach that point. It's not like you can just play with the energy and people just feel weird, in a sense that, okay, what was it all about? It has to reach to that certain point that by the end of your speech people know exactly what you meant, right? And you have to scream, you have to shout, and you have to tone it down at certain moments. I think it's beautiful. I think it takes a lot more than just writing. It takes that energy. And if you go in one of these competitions, you realize how tough that is, and the adrenaline that you get after you're done with this, it's crazy, bro. It's crazy. So I really like it, and I want to explore that more. Apart from that, as I said, I've always been into filmmaking. I've always liked movies, but again, I'm very picky with it. Now, when I talked about Rockstar, it does not have anything that's visually pleasing. Not necessarily. I wouldn't, put it on my top 10 visually best movies or whatever, right? But this movie, the writing, that building of that character or the characters within the movie, there's multiple characters, right? So that whole build up and that character arc and all of that, everything, the whole storyline, how one thing connects with the other and the other thing connects with the end, and the ending in itself, everything about it on point. And it really, I think that was the movie. After watching that movie, I kind of had it in my mind that I want to write a movie, and you know what, that is something I want to explore, that is something I want to try. It might not be me trying and officially and showing it to people that, oh, I've written this, but I just want to try it for myself, personally, how I would go on about a movie, how I would express something like that. So I highly recommend you to watch Rockstar. It's a great movie. And how am I gonna go on about it? That's something I'm worried about, because again, it's hard for me to manage making videos, so I kind of downgraded the whole thing to podcasts. Like, I don't call it a podcast, I call it a long voice note, because I'm just sending you guys a voice note, and if you want to listen, you'll listen, right? So I don't know how I'm gonna study filmmaking, but I surely want to do it, and I want to look into it, and I want to try that aspect of writing. At a certain point in time, I also wanted to write a book, but no, I do not think I can write a book, and I'm not gonna try. I don't think I'll want to write a book. It just seems too many. It just seems like too many words. I don't know. I'm talking about writing a movie, but writing a book is a total different ball game. I don't think I can do that. And I think one reason is, for some, okay, I don't know, but many people know this about me. When I'm writing, I write very differently as compared to when I'm speaking. Like, I speak broken English. Okay, my grammar is bad. My pronunciation of a lot of words is bad. But when I'm writing, all of that just upgrades to a next level. So that's something about me. And I think, I don't know, I think to be a good writer, when it comes to books, you are also a good speaker. I just feel like that's how it works. I don't know, I could be wrong. I am wrong, I don't know, but I'm just saying whatever that I have in my mind. But here's the thing. I might not write a book, but I need to start reading books. And especially fiction. I hate fiction. I feel like it's a waste of time for me personally. But I need to understand that to really express things, to really let my creativity out, and to really, go on about writing in itself, I need to read. And I need to read a lot. I heard it from someone, and okay, so basically, poetry is not a new thing. It has been there for centuries and even thousands of years, since language. So it is like, before the time of Rumi, you could say. It was within the tradition that if you want to be a poet, then learn 100,000 poems first, and then write your first poem. Like, that was you could say, the merit, or that was the starting point. If you really want to be a poet, then learn 100,000 poems first by heart, and only then you start writing. It is the same with writing at this point in time, that if you really want to write and if you really want to get into it, then you must read at least 3,000 books. Someone said that 3,000 books, something along the lines of that. I'm wrong with the numbers, but I know it was something along the lines of that. So you need to read a lot of books. You need to read way too much just to start writing. So reading is something I need to get into. and I don't know how I'm going to do it, because my attention span is of a goldfish, or even worse. As I said, I cannot watch a movie if it does not get me engaged in like first 30 to 40 seconds at least. That's the only time limit I have, if I'm watching it alone. If I'm in a cinema, then there is nothing else. Then you just have to sit down and watch it. But like, I'm just saying, the first minute of that movie is really crucial to me. So reading, it needs to get me hooked within the from the first page itself, because if it doesn't do that, then I might never read it. So yeah, that's gonna be tough. That's gonna be really tough for me. Another thing that I wanted to touch or shed light on is, I believe that, I think it is somehow the answer to whatever questions I had a year ago again, which is that I used to think about what my purpose is and who am I, blah blah blah. But at the same time, I'd explore, right? And I think I really liked that part of me exploring things. I explored poetry, I explored filmmaking to a certain extent, I explored CGI, and I stopped because my laptop, it overheated so much that I could not move further with it. So I had to stop, but I loved CGI, right? So CGI, I explored Urdu poetry, and it's totally different from what English poetry is. It's very different. And I explored something along the lines of Photoshop and just digital art, right? And it's not like I'm good at any of those, but I explored and I learned something about them, and I could go on about with a conversation with it, right? So it's like, I really like that part of me, exploring. And I think that is something I want to do still. I want to explore more things, because again, I don't have to tag myself with, oh, he's a writer. Maybe I'm none of that. Maybe I just want to work 9 to 5. You never know, but that's fine, right? So I think this is important for many people. If you're listening to this and if you have any interest in terms of art, then do not bound yourself to one thing. Do not bound yourself to just writing or just painting or just music. Learn to explore. And you never know, you might as well connect a few things here and there, and it's always good for you. You might connect your poetry with filmmaking, and I don't know how that connects, but I'm pretty sure you'll find a way. So I'm just saying, it's always good to explore different things, and it's always good to learn new things, and do not bound yourself to that one specific niche. You don't have to. And I think people do that most of the time. Speaking from speaking from personal experience, and what I have witnessed around me, people bound themselves to one thing, and they stick to that one thing, and they never try anything else. And one of the major reasons is that, okay, they want to be good at it, sure, but they also want to pursue that as a career. But I think that is very bad. I think that is one of the worst things you can do for yourself, trying to make a career out of your passion, or the art that you like. I think that is probably the worst decision you will make, and I'm gonna stick to it. The reason why I say it is because things like art, they're supposed to be expressive, right? And you're not always expressive about something. You don't have to express your feelings on every other thing. You might write something today, or you might make a song today, and you may never make something up until next year or for next 2 years, because you don't want to express anything right now. But when you bound yourself, or when you put yourself in a position where your earning depends on that, or when you need to please people, because if you don't post then they might feel bad or something. I think you really torture yourself with that. You don't have to be that way. So making a career out of your passion isn't the best way to go. Yes, of course, if you can get a few earnings from here and there, that's perfectly fine. I know a lot of people who do that, and they're studying still and they're working 9 to 5 and they still do what they like. And I think that is the best form of life. To do a 9 to 5, or to carry on with a business, to just earn money, like what I would call normal per human, but then also pursue other things, also do other things, also explore different things. And I think that is, for me personally, I think that is important, because as I said, I'm still exploring and I'll keep on exploring, and I don't think I'll stop exploring anytime soon. So me, just holding on to this one thing, writing, even if there are 1,000 different ways to write, I don't think that's for me. I like cameras as well. I like the only thing, that one thing I really like about movies is the color grading, or the visual aspect of movies, how they carried out this one specific scene, or how they color graded this one scene, and whatever, and what emotions that scene expresses. So I think that is really important for me, and that is something I want to explore. Music as well, even though I think I should kind of stop listening to music, because again, I'm trying to be a better Muslim as well. So music, you might argue, oh, as long as it doesn't deviate you, it's whatever you believe in, go with it. But as far as I know, it's not the best of things, and I think I do want to stop that. So I'm trying, but let's see where it goes. So that's there. But like even in music, rap, I really like rap, I love rap. So it's like, it's a part of me and I enjoy that thing, and I want to try it maybe once, I don't know. But yeah, do not bound yourself to one thing, and especially not for making a career out of it. Do not do that.